From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub. Well, good morning again, and the sun is shining. It's a lovely day out there. People are enjoying it. The buses are zipping past. Declan has been getting the pub ready, and right in centre stage, in front of the camera, is Stewart Dalby.
Good
morning, Stewart.
Good morning, everybody. Excuse the dark glasses, but the sun's coming in here at a great rate of knots. It looks a bit mafiosi, I reckon. Anyway. We have got not people today. We've got quite a good agenda for the next 3 weeks of conversation with Stewart Dalby, and there's some very high-flying people, and we can get very, very good stuff. One, I'll just give you hints. One of there's the Green Party people who's agreed to talk to us, and then the man who's involved in human nature, Michael Simpson, he's come in.
Human Nature being the company that's developing the Phoenix Centre. Yeah, right.
And finally, I've got a very good friend in Suffolk who's been a painter, and of course, I don't know if you know it, but there's an awful lot of painters in Suffolk, really, loads of them. And he's Tony Casement, who's a relative of mine, and he's agreed over the summer in July to have a whole sort of thing of 45 painters coming into Suffolk and to talk about themselves and so forth and so on and so on, and you know how they came to be there and all that kind of thing. But we make wonderful television.
That's great.
Yeah.
Shall I tell you something that because I know that you were going to raise it today, and that is the question of the accounts.
The accounts.
The district council accounts.
Yeah.
Apparently, the legislation says that they must put them on their website for 30 days for the public to be able to see them. Yeah. And so I went onto their website. Now, this is the flaw in our argument, but it's not our flaw. It's like the post office flaw, is that I don't always know that I'm reading a website properly. But from what I can gather is that there hasn't been any accounts posted on the website since about 2007 or 2008, let alone them being 4 years later being
well,
audited.
This is the kind of thing we must address. Well, I'll actually say it to you now. That we as journalists, we have decided that we are going to bring people to account, right?
Yeah.
Now, Zoe Nicholson, the head of the Green Party, has got an awful lot to account for, because look, I'm a very green person, as some of you might know, and I have a website called Green Barrel, where it's about climate change and investment in renewable energy. But the Green Party really are a party of protest, and they're like Extinction Rebellion. They have very good aims and goals, but they achieved nothing. Now, unfortunately, in the last election, there was a bit of an oxydaisy, and me being a bit of a psyche, I said, I bet you the Greens get the most seats this time around, because young people, climate change, okay? So in the election, they got 17 seats, Lib Dems got 15 seats, most they've ever had, and then the 9th, and then the Labour got the 9th. And that meant that we might be in the situation that Brighton was in but more than a year ago, when they got booted out after the election because they made a mess. And you can see why. If you go to Brighton, there's a greatest number of people on the street. They're the 10th highest. Okay?
Yeah.
And they have actually made a mockery of garbage collections and all kinds of things. Not rightly now, but the Labour Party is now in charge of Brighton. And I think the same is going to happen here. Because look what a mess they've made of the Greens have made already. They've already buggered up the garbage collection. They don't know whether you're coming or going. Do you put the recycling stuff in the washing machine or what? or do you put it out in the sticks? And where do you recycle it to and from? That's what I'd like to know.
Stewart, can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I live in a complex where the garbage goes into a central place, so I don't keep necessarily tabs on when the garbage is collected or not. Where do we stand with garbage collection now?
Well, they seem to change the collection of well, we got it both on Friday.
Right.
Now it comes on Tuesday.
Right.
Tuesday? Why Tuesday? You know, it was quite odd. I think the recycling is done by somebody else. But also, the Green Party is doing all kinds of terrible things, according to that they got 2.27 million and 2 million from the government to actually go council people, give them carbon zero. That is a lot of money.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think they are very further to the bottom. We know that all district councils are going bust. And I think they're about a third according to our sources.
Well, there's also yesterday the major story in most of the papers was the council fat cats. That there are now, as of this morning's count in the paper, 300 executives in local authorities earning over £150,000 a year.
You're joking?
No.
Which paper's that in?
I just looked at the front pages, but I'm sure that it's in the Times because it was in half a dozen papers yesterday that there were X number over. This morning the count has been up to 300.
I've always known it was in my blood that the people, the fees, it's like the House of Lords, isn't it?
Yeah.
They get paid to do nothing.
That's right.
Just to sit there.
Yeah.
And this is what you've got with these. And people in the town council telling me that it's almost corruption in the way that they've got these great big fees for being there.
Well, in Lewis District Council,
my plan is to put my foot out when they're trying to get away, and they'll fall over.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think that there must be prime candidates in local district council because we've got both district and county here. The county council is the chief executive accounts for at least $250,000 apparently.
Well, salary.
In salary and benefits. In fact, I think it said without benefits. So it's $250,000 plus benefits. But the district council.
$2.5 million plus benefits. You're joking.
No, well, that was the figures. I mean, I haven't looked in the last 18 months. I suppose.
Well, they think they are. What they think they are. Yeah. Elon Musk or somebody.
Exactly. But also the Lewis District Council, which is more is closer to us in terms of direct legislation and so on, and paying for it, is that the top 4 executives in Lewis District Council did. They've now moved, but they did before that account for £1 million between them. So it wasn't exactly just a little bit.
Was it in the paper yesterday?
The district council wasn't. No, but the fat cats thing was, yes, it was in the papers yesterday.
Is it going to be in today? Do you think?
Well, hopefully, it's in today. Something about it. I don't know. You keep on talking while
Well, that really amazes me. They get what? £250,000 for doing bugger all.
Yeah.
Well,
it's-
that's corruption, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
suppose
the
the
fact of the matter
secretary-
is that we had James McCleary on, and I think going back to the Greens, I'm reading between the lines, so I've got to be careful what I say. But he, in answering a lot of questions, he was very defensive and very evasive about who did what on the local council. But that to me means he more or less intimated, I don't know because I'm not part of the power sharing anymore.
No.
And it seems to me that the Greens, now Zoe Nicholson, prior to her election, was dead set against the cabinet system here in Lewis that we use, which is just a few people running the council, right? A few councillors. The rest just there to put up their hands. And Zoe Nicholson was dead set against it until she was elected. And then she defends it, she uses it. So there are just a few people, there are a few Greens in charge of the entire district council. The rest are only there to put up their hands.
I've been saying for ages, they might have very good goals, but they are managerially, totally, utterly, comprehensively lacking in managerial matters. They cannot actually get anything right.
Well,
and look how they've given in to the human nature. And now they've got this wolf stuff's going to be absolutely.
And Charleston they gave into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was true to us. That was true to us, wasn't it? No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, we raised it, and I just can't put my hands on this story, Stewart. But believe me, it was there because I was reading the headlines this morning, and I mean the overpayment of town hall staff has been a scandal for a long time. I mean, more than the Prime Minister, some of them are paid.
Well, he doesn't deserve much, does he? He's got millions.
Well, exactly. I mean,
why are we paying him anything? We should be taking money from him.
Yes, he doesn't need it, but I mean,
dear Mr. Rishi, we are going to tax you.
Well, I suppose that actually he must get taxed. Wasn't there a row about how much his wife made and how much he made?
Well, actually, we better actually find out before we pass the hat around.
That's true. But I asked questions about 2 or 3 things. Where do they stand? And one is, where the hell does the bus stop? The bus centre, the bus building, whatever we call it. Where does that issue stand now? I mean, everybody made a big fuss of it, and the bus company was forced to change the area, which it did, I thought, very efficiently.
Really?
Well, I mean, it very quickly erected various stands at the bottom of School Hill. It's not a bus.
No, the bloody great honks of what you're going to be shops and everything.
No, the bus company doesn't own that. It's another company, I forget. They claim that they're environmentally.
It's called the Avenger or something.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, they have these lovely names.
And also, I know, but the parking is coming clashing up with the EVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do we all have EV here or here? Now, I'm a bit of an expert on EVs, as you know. Right, back in the day when one of the Green people had a sustainability meeting, he says, we are going to have climate zero by 2030. And I said, how are you going to do that? He said, we're going to use EV charging points. I said, oh, really? Yeah, okay. Do you know that EVs have a very, very density problem? In a sense, what it means is that because of lithium, which is a rare earth, right?
Yeah.
Rare earth doesn't have much density, doesn't it? You can't get up to Edinburgh in an EV because the lithium is a rare thing and there's not enough of it. On the other hand, in my website, Green Barrel, I found when I was investing in green renewable energy, I found a company that in Cornwall used to have tin mines. And then I thought, well, if there's tin mines, there must be something else. And I found somewhere where lithium was being mined, right? And what am I trying to say here? And that actually led to the company on the stock exchange as Cornish Lithium. People made killing on that because my dear little company.
Yeah, well, lithium is found in Cornwall, isn't it?
And also somewhere in South America. What's Chile?
Right,
Chile.
Chile.
Yeah.
Well, I like Chilean wine. So.
Yeah. I'm not sure I want to go that far just to get Chile. I mean, Chile's a very cold place, isn't it? No.
But I don't totally understand. I'm not very mechanical, Stewart. We have now from Brighton hybrid buses, which stop. They cut out at the stoplight, and then they start up again when the vehicle is ready to go. And there are more and more cars of that sort. Are they environmentally friendly?
I wouldn't have thought so. No, not.
No.
Well, what EVs?
Yeah, well, any vehicle.
Of course, they're not. They're environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
Well, my dear wife won't go out because of it because she's asthmatic.
All right.
She needs the oxygen.
Yeah. So the pollution factor is pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see, you've now got Brighton's very incompetent and very dope-led, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Very, very, very. Brighton is led by what they called pills. What are they called? Yeah. I mean, we went when they're recently, not so long ago. We went to Brighton, and outside of Boots, there was two young men with needles in their arm, and the dope fiends are all over the flipping place. You can't.
And that's in Brighton.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't think that. Lewis might be well behind. I don't know. I've never taken any kind of dope. I've never done cannabis.
No, nor me.
I've never done heroin. I've certainly never done the Peruvian marching powder. Which is what's it called?
Is that the latest thing? Peruvian marching powder. That's a lovely term, but undoubtedly it doesn't do people any good.
No.
Stuart, while we're on the question of accounts, our good friend and a man to be admired, Stephen Catlin.
Oh, I see.
Is while he was alive, he latched on to this accounts business with the fact that the Stanley Turner ground, is it, and another place up in one of the estates are both held as charitable trusts, and that they have not had the accounts filed either. The thing about the charitable trust is that some councillors sit on the charitable board and they are responsible.
Yeah. Also, human nature, they haven't got much tosh, so they set up charities instead and foundations. And that's how they get their money, I think. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's a tax dodge.
So to speak, yeah.
Yeah.
I went up to a company's house to get that, and I don't know if it was about a year ago, and sounds they were £8 million in arrears. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it all seems to be smoke and mirrors, doesn't it? Do you remember that we read the Friends of Lewis report?
Yeah.
And it made mention of the parking tower that is on the can be seen from the Phoenix Bridge.
Yeah.
Now that seems to me to be counterproductive in a modern society that is trying hard to sell the virtues of its green areas.
Yeah. Yeah, but also they're building 4 stories on the other side of the bridge.
Right. Yeah. And
what happens if you get a floodplain? Bloke from the top will have to come dashing down, put you on his swimming trunks, and then go to work. But I mean, no. This human nature have destroyed all the trees. They're now talking about 200 flats for affordable flats, affordable for who? You know?
Yes. Yeah, that's a great catch-all word, isn't it? Affordable.
Yeah.
It's affordable, as you say. Who's it affordable for? Because whether we like it or not, Lewis is a wealthy town.
Yeah.
So wealthy people can buy these things, but not people on the base, not the council worker.
No, and then the houses are put out for the Russians in Lewis to actually buy them up, aren't they? No, not many people know that.
No. Well, I mean, strangely enough, not in Lewis, but I have Russian friends who own 2 or 3 properties in London. They buy them the way that most people on the market buy gold, as a safe haven.
Yeah.
If Mr. Putin dumps on them, they've still got these places in London or in the UK.
Yeah, well, Mr. Putin can't use gold because he might drop it on his foot.
I mean, we say that Mirador is local but not parochial. I think that this is an example of what we mean is something that Mr. Putin does could have an effect on Lewis. You know, is the knock-on effect could be, as if not least of which is Russians buying property here.
Oh well, they've been doing it forever.
Well, maybe.
I mean, the mafiosi own most of Holland Park and all kinds of flipping place. Yeah, the whole and Mrs. May was going to sort it out. She's done nothing, and they make fortunes. These guys. Yes. I mean, it's what they do is invest the money.
Well, I mean, actually, you would have especially from your days in the FT, you would have a view on this. It was suggested just the other day that actually the politicians really don't have much to do with the direction of we take in Britain. That it's mostly the civil service, and then the next story over was how useless the civil service has become, and that most of them don't even want to go to work in Westminster.
Well, the politicians.
The politicians don't really are only policymakers. It's the civil service that actually governs the country.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's even from Margaret Thatcher's favourite programme, Yes Minister, that was the case, isn't it? And she said she loved that programme because it was so accurate.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, is if we bring it back to the local situation, is even talking to McCleary. Is his first name? James McCleary. Is that the officers, as they call them, have a great deal to say on how Lewis is run, but they're unelected. They're the officials who are paid well over the odds, apparently. Yeah.
But James has done some very good things. First of all, look at the station. He's kept the ticket office open. He's done all kinds of other things.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that he hasn't done good things. Yeah. And in fact, he's a nice young man.
Yeah.
The point is, should we have nice young men in these positions, or should we have bloody bullies who really go in every morning and box the ears of the so-called officials and say, look, do this and do that.
But we don't know who the officials are, do we?
Yes, we do.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I mean, the chief executive is it's very interesting where people come from. The reason that, in my view, is that the council relies so much upon computers and so on for information is that the chief executive was a former senior official in the the IT department of Lewes District Council.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was it? The FT?
No, the IT. Independent, what do they call it? IT is computers anyway. Incidentally, I've got an ugly scar on the bottom of my lip this morning, just in case anybody wonders, because I cut myself when I was shaving.
Yeah,
I was getting so excited that I was shaving my whiskers off. I got whiskers to shave off. It's my hand shook. Stewart, I mean, as you say, and really is those people who are young enough and naive enough not to realise is that much of the good work on Fleet Street, not the FT West Stewart, but much of the good work on Fleet Street was done in the pubs there. But Stewart has lifted up that baton and goes around the pubs in Lewes and talks to people. So he knows what's going on the ground. Do you bump into any councillors in the pubs that are talking to you?
Yeah.
You do? Right. Why don't they actually raise some of the issues that you're able to raise then?
Well, I don't know. That's a good point.
I mean, that's where the information comes, isn't it? In the highways and the byways, as it were, the pubs and the shops. They've done away with the banks, so not a lot comes out of that.
Oh, that is really, that's awful. That's terrible. I mean, it's, I've got 4 accounts in Lewes. I mean, all people, they haven't got an ATM. What are they going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
There's only 2 ATMs in this little town, right?
Yes, that's right.
So they're going to be a what's it? And then I have to go to Brighton now to sort out.
Yeah. Isn't it a concerted attempt to get us to not use cash?
What do you mean?
Well, the powers that be don't want us to use cash. They want us to use cards and so on, and online.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they've moved most of the ATMs and closed most of the banks is an effort by the authorities, whether that be the banking authorities or the political authorities, to make us use cards rather than cash.
God. Well, this is what the Sheikh of Abu Dhabi used to do. He used to get a load of gold and stick it under the bed. Seriously. When I was actually doing financial science, and I was doing all those states, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, Oman, wonderful place.
Yes, actually it is. Yes.
Have you been there?
Yes, I've been there. Frankly, I find it very difficult to exist in very hot climates.
Yes, so do I. Yeah. Well, I made pals with by the Sheikh who was Caboose, right? And of course he was gay as well. I found out. And we made great friends. And he said, "Would you like to come out to go with my Jeep to go get these people from Aden were coming in, right? Coming in." And I said, "Oh, yeah, okay." And I wrote, "Let's put it off." And then, second time, do you remember the Mogadishu, what's it, man? Right, Mogadishu hijack. He came out from Nairobi, I think it was, and tried to land on Salalah, which was down the bottom of Oman, right? Yeah. And I don't know if you know that Caboose had got hold of a load of mercenaries from the army and the Air Force. And they didn't know about that, right? So then when Mohammed, something like it was, from what did I say, from Nairobi,
Right.
about this is Mahmoud. He was the guy who wanted to hijack, so forth and so on. And he said, I'm going to land. And this very nice guy with a green jacket, a cravat, he was like David Niven. And me and Chris Walker was in the radio waiting for the whole thing. And he said, I'm going to say, afraid you can't do, old boy. Because we put lorries across the landing escape. Oh dear, really. And then when he came, the FT, it never did this at all, never said FT correspondent Stewart Dalby debates with Mohammed Mahmoud. Seriously. I got back and I said, trust you. Financial Times is the greatest paper in the world. Don't worry about it.
Right, Stuart. We've been going for almost half an hour. So just recap for people, the people that you've got lined up for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, hopefully, not quite. Hopefully I can get Zoe Nicholson.
Who's very important, I think, to answer a number of things. But because actually, Zoe, we've actually been able to slag you off because you haven't come back and told anybody negatively. Yeah?
Then we've got the other opposition, Michael Simpson, who's been heavily involved in what's it and so human nature.
Human nature, yes, right. Yeah.
And he says he's prepared to do every couple of weeks,
right.
Which is very good.
He's quite articulate, isn't he?
Yes, he's very good. He's very bright. I don't see why he hangs out with that lot, but anyway, that's his business. But then there's my friend Tony Casement, who's part of Nuclear Family. And he's an artist in Suffolk, and there's lots of artists in Suffolk and East Anglia. There's an English group, so forth and so on. And he's in Horsham, where there was an art centre, and he in July is going to bring over 45 painters and so forth and so on in a whole sort of what you might call a festival. And I said, well, why don't we do it for you? Because you'll end up with a video about what you're doing, how you're doing it, so forth and so on. And I think that is very, very good television.
Yes, it is. Yes. I look forward to that. But that's going to be a fairly major undertaking, so we better plan it carefully, better talk to it carefully. Yeah. Okay, Stuart. It is now. Let's see. Don't move for a moment. It's now approximately 26 minutes past 10, and we've had a good session this morning so far. And Stuart, just to remind people, you had a very distinguished career in the FT in the Far East and in Northern Ireland.
Oh, and Africa.
And Africa.
And Middle East.
Right.
And I am, for Financial Times, so far only war correspondent. I was in Vietnam when it closed down.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was a documentary on about that the other day. Yeah. And I must say, you're a very brave man because it was very chaotic and nobody knew who was shooting whom. I was in Belgrade, a bit like that, not quite the same circumstances, but I wasn't sure that anybody would know who they were shooting. And it can be a bit scary, can't it?
Very scary. I mean, Cambodia, I had a terrible time. I can remember that when I was in a hotel in Loen, a rocket came through my window and went out the other side. I went down and there was a woman whose thing was, she was cut in half by a mortar. And then I went with another thing, I think it was Jacques Leze, up a road in Cambodia. Okay. And we got stopped by a group of Lon Nol's troops. Okay.
Yeah.
And the colonel, look after them, didn't pay them any money. So what they did, was to kill him, take out his heart and his liver and liver, right?
Yeah.
And I said, my God, this is cannibalism. So I phoned up the Financial Times and said, look, I don't want to be what's the word? Whatever word I just said. I do not want to be someone
Cannibalistic.
who was cannibalistic. I'm going straight back to Vietnam and possibly back to London. And I'll be throwing up all the way. It's true. It's a true story.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Here we go. And say goodbye. Stuart will be back with you next Wednesday. Hopefully with Zoe Nicholson, let's hope. But somebody important, because we are actually, there's an election, isn't there, for the police commissioner coming up next month.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one we should take a look at, because the social media columns have been suggesting it's a waste of money. I don't know whether it is or not. That's something we should talk about next week.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Right. Okay. Here we go. Now, remember, the Black Horse this Sunday is the quiz night, Sunday the 14th, starting at 8 o'clock, and it's loads of fun. So do try and get here. So toodle pip, Stuart.
Okay. Right.
Toodle pip. From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.
What, the new part? I don't understand what that means.